Hey everyone, this is Jack. This is going to be a quick trade review for the day. I was going to keep this private, but I just saw a comment and I thought it might be helpful for others to hear. And I was going to keep it private because I have not been trading very well during the day because of several reasons. And I wanted to talk about that first before I talk about my trades, because that's the whole point of me making this video. I just want to share my thought process, where I'm at. In the mornings, I generally have not been feeling very well in terms of like my emotional and mental health. And it's not anything terribly particular. It's kind of just a general sense of like conflicting emotions, whether it's like being overly confident or being impatient or being unfocused or being too attached to an idea, or just in general feeling unbalanced or not grounded in reality. And all of that emotional energy leads to a lack of discipline and a lack of doing the right thing, and it leads to mistakes. It leads to dumb trades. It leads to apathy, just not giving a crap about anything. And that is not how you approach the market. You need to approach the market with a lot of respect and a little bit of tension. Like there should be a little bit of tension. Like, okay, this is it's a serious thing that I'm doing, and it's a creative thing that I'm doing, but there's a level of, hey, I'm gonna not screw around here because I have a lot of respect for the market. I have a lot of respect for what trading is and all of the institutions that are creating the movement that we're looking at right now. So anyway, what I've been trying to do recently, which is more important than the trades themselves, is I've been really trying to work on my self-awareness and at the same time my market awareness, in terms of like recognizing when I feel grounded or not, or when I'm feeling balanced or out of balance in some way, or when I'm just feeling in general just some sort of emotional energy. And it could be anything. Like this morning I feel kind of antsy. I feel all right. Like I feel pretty relatively neutral, but I can tell that I just feel antsy. I want to do something. I want to place a trade. I want to think about something real quickly and make a decision and then act on it. I feel antsy, and that's not good. And I've recognized that, and I'm stopping myself from doing any more trading for the rest of the day. It's really early in the day. I normally try to watch the market until at least 12:30 or so. And recently I haven't been doing that because I'm just not emotionally there. And I don't know if it's like a maturity thing, or if I'm just being immature, or if I'm just lacking discipline. So I'm working on that awareness, trying to work through that. But I know that when I'm feeling antsy or frustrated, or I just don't care, or whatever, I know that I'm not balanced. I know that I'm not neutral. I know that I'm not in the correct mindset that I need to be in to place good trades and to do what I know that I need to do and do the right thing. So when I recognize that state in myself, and what I've done today and what I'm going to continue doing is I'm going to just stop. I'm just going to say, you know what, whatever I've done or haven't done today, I'm just done. I'm just going to be stop. I can keep looking at the market, but I'm not going to place any more trades. And I need to build that level of maturity to be like, you know what, I'm just not in quite the right state right now. And I'm going to work on what that means for my morning routine and figure out how to get into the correct state. And I'm going to look at the rest of my day and be like, what's going on that's leading me here. And I want to develop the discipline to be like, you know what, I know the best thing for me to do is to stop. And that's a whole, that is discipline, knowing that the best, acting in my best interest would be to stop trading. And sometimes the best trade is no trade. So it's not like I'm not trading. I actually am trading. I'm choosing to be flat, and that is a trade. because right now I could be long, but I'm choosing to be flat because I know that that's just where I'm at today. So besides all that, I'm primarily focused on figuring out my mental, physical, and emotional systems more so than my trading systems because I have enough knowledge. I can understand what's happening on the chart, no problem. There was an interview that Brad did. I forget where, but he said that for the longest time, he could see what's happening on the chart and he just couldn't execute on it. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I can really see and understand what's happening on the chart, but there are times where I just can't execute on it, or I just make a dumb decision, do the wrong thing. And it's so, I make a mistake and then I immediately just go like, why did I do that? And it's, I'm sure that you can relate probably in some way. Maybe you revenge traded or you scaled in at the wrong time, or you just took a dumb trade because you just didn't even think about it or something. And you're just like, man, why did I do that? And there's even times where you make a mistake, you're in the trade and you just placed a trade and like, oh man, this is a mistake right now. I should just close the trade right now. But you don't close the trade, of course. And then you just wait for your stop to get hit, or you just wait for the loss to get bigger and then you close the trade. And of course, then the market 10 or 15 minutes later does exactly what you thought it might do. So anyway, that's not sustainable. That is growing pains, that we all have to go through and grow through. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm really working on my mental, emotional health because I've got all the trading knowledge. It's just about executing on that knowledge. And trading is kind of like a sport. Like you can understand the mechanics of how to do the thing, but you've got to have the physical, mental, and emotional discipline to execute on the thing, right? Like, you can tell anybody how to play football or how to play basketball or, tennis or baseball or golf or anything like that, or hockey. You can understand it, with better understanding than the players themselves. But if your hand-eye coordination or your physical health isn't up to the standard, then you're not going to be able to execute. Well, trading is no different. We have to physically be healthy so that our mental and emotional health can be balanced, and that leads to discipline, and we have to train ourselves to just do the right thing. So I'm doing the right thing. I'm not going to trade anymore. And now with all that, so hopefully that's a better picture of where I'm at and what's been going on. I'll kind of go over my trades here. And give me 1 second. I'll make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see. All right. So this is today. This is about the time that I was at the desk ready to do something. I was watching bar 5 form. I think I watched 4 and 5 form. And so we have no gap on the day. We have bar 1, a big bull bar. And to me, 78 and 1, I'm thinking that the market is probably always in long, but it's in a trading range and we're high in the range. So there's probably sellers up above 64, the high of the range. And that's why we have 2. But the sell signal triggered, pulled back, and we got a couple of legs up from 2. I actually thought that bar 4 would lead to a new high of the day. And when it didn't, I thought, okay, maybe this is a pullback and that we will find buyers at and below these bars and we'll get a new high of the day. That was my premise, my idea. And I also acknowledged that we could be pretty neutral. And because we're in a trading range high in the range, we might be always in short by context rather than by evidence. And for that reason, we have a micro double top with 2 and 4, and 2 and 5. And 5 is a sell signal bar. It's not very strong. It's an inside bar with a tail below, tail above. So there could be buyers not far below, and we'll pull back and retest the highs before we go lower. But I thought to myself, probably reasonable short, but likely buyers below 3, and definitely buyers below 1. We had such a strong bar. There are probably almost certainly buyers below 1. So So I thought buying here was a reasonable thing to do. And I didn't want to short because I thought we might be always on long. And in retrospect, it's not clearly always in long. It is not clearly always in long at all. In fact, we're at the top of a trading range and we have a micro double top. So, you got to respect that. And the price action for the last several hours of trading has been primarily below the moving average. And we're above it, having a hard time staying above it. We went higher, we went lower. We went higher, we're going lower. Again, that is a good indication that we're going to have to test down to find more buyers, and we may not be able to sustain price above the moving average because this is evidence that we're not. And right here, strongly above, and then we, faded down. So what I decided to do was buy the close of 5, and I used a wide stop, and I just said, you know what, I don't care. I'm trading a position that is, I don't care. And so that's what I'm doing here. I bought the close of 5 and the market started to turn down. I scaled in around the 3 low, and then it kept going lower and I scaled in more. And I think I finally scaled in below 1. And I typically do not scale in. This is only something I do if I know ahead of time, like, hey, this trade could fail. And if it does fail, I want to scale in because I acknowledge the other side. So I'm going to allow myself to scale in because I believe that the premise is reasonably valid, even if it fails initially. It's very likely that we should get a bounce and I'll be able to get out with a small profit, if not for the profit that I thought I was going to get immediately after entry. So I allowed myself to scale in. But that right there should have been, and it was, a warning to myself that, hey, maybe you aren't quite as balanced as you ought to be. And maybe this isn't a very grounded thing to be doing. So once I took all my entries, here are my entries. I bought the close of 5, scaled in somewhere below it, scaled in below 3, and I thought we might turn up just above 1, so I scaled in once there, and then scaled in one more time at the low. And, I just don't care. I understand that this bar is a big surprise bear breakout. It's very likely that it will get some follow through, and we could just collapse and race down to the 78 low. And we could just fall and run my stop right there. And I said, I just don't care. And that isn't good. I should care, and I shouldn't be doing this necessarily. This isn't typically how I trade, as I mentioned, but I understood the context, at least I thought, well enough that it made sense for me. There's enough buying pressure here and buying pressure here and enough overlap here that makes me think that whatever bear breakout we get will likely not get very far before we find buyers and pull back. And I just so happen to be right today. But, what if, how would I be feeling if I wasn't right and we just got another bear bar and then we found buyers below 78? Because that wasn't really part of the plan. The plan was buyers below 1. So, you got to look at 6 and be like, this isn't very good. So I see 7. I'm like, okay, great. So we do have enough buying pressure. Here's some strong buying pressure. It's very likely that this will probably pull back some, but likely lead to a test up. And, I think when I saw bar 7, I thought to myself, okay, just because bar 6 got bigger than I expected it to get, maybe I'm not so ungrounded or unbalanced that I'm disconnected from the market, but actually maybe I'm just sensing some emotional energy in myself that I should be mindful of and respect. And despite that emotional energy, I am reading the chart as it is appearing, and that's okay. But I can tell, because my behavior here with these scale-ins, that this is a bit out of character for me. I do not like to scale into trades like this. I don't want to scale into trades, actually. So I very rarely will do this. And typically it doesn't go very well. Sometimes it goes all right, but typically when I'm scaling in like this, that is a warning that I should probably just close this trade and be done and stop, because this is not sustainable. This is not a very systematic approach to trading, and that is a very clear indication of where I'm at today. So, but despite that, you know, I'm reading the market, right? So you can see the dilemma here that traders have. We can read the market, but our actions are not always in alignment with our, you know, with our best interest. You know, is it really in my best interest to buy the close of a micro double top? Not really. You know, that is not in my best interest. The bulls do not need a second leg right here necessarily. And is it in my best interest to scale in 5 times or scale in 4 times? No, it's not. Well, I did that. So I am not acting in my best interest here. And that is a big red flag that I should just close this trade and be done. We get a pullback on 8, and it rallies. It hesitates up here. For a while, and then pulls back to the open of the bar. It bounces a little bit, and I closed my position here. So I managed to take a loss on the initial entry, but the scaling entries saved the day. So, and we get bar 8, which to me just does not look very natural. I don't know why, but bar 8 looks funny to me. You know, get bar 8. It's a strong close. I have my winning overall trade, and I know once this bar forms and once I get out of that trade, I know that, okay, I should probably stop trading. I can watch the market, but I really should not be doing what I just did. And this is not good, because I can tell that I'm not emotionally balanced. I'm not psychologically okay. You know, something is off today. I need to address that. But before I end my session, I see bar 8. I see the tail nearly get to the 6 close. And I think, all right, well, that is a micro double bottom. We have a very strong buy signal with 7. We have an even stronger buy signal with 8. It is reasonable to then buy the close here, look for a new high of the day, which is what I was initially looking at. And so I bought the close of bar 8 with this green entry here. The market raced up a couple of points quickly and kind of hesitated up here for a while. And as it was hesitating here, I thought, you know what? This probably isn't that great of a trade, so I think I'm going to close this out. And you know, I think it maybe even bounced below my entry a little bit, bounced up. And I think that's when I decided to get out. It wasn't that great of a trade. It might pull back more. And so I closed that out for a small win, and then it pulled back more, and I thought, okay, you know, this is actually reasonable. I was looking to buy a pullback to the 7 high because I imagined bears that were selling at and above 7 were pretty disappointed with 8, and therefore when it pulls back, it's very likely that we'll bounce at least a couple of points from the entry point, the 7 high. But it pulls back and hesitates here for a while. So I take my entry here, and it goes against me quite a little bit initially, and then rallies back up here. And I think, you know what, this actually isn't that great of a trade either, because this went far below the entry price that I was initially looking for, and I didn't think that it would pull back any further, which is why I took this entry. So this isn't doing really what I want it to do, and I'm not even doing what I really want to be doing, because I wanted to take my entry at the 7 high, yet I took it right here. So more and more flags to myself that like, something's off here. I'm not really balanced, so I'm just going to be done. So I closed that trade as well for a profit, and that's all I did. I thought about buying below 6 for a scalp, and that would have worked out all right. But who knows, maybe I would have held too long, and then I would have been really disappointed with 11 right here. I saw 11 form, and I thought that's probably going to go lower, but there's very likely, almost certainly, buyers below 78. We've rallied so much, there's so much buying pressure, there's almost certainly buyers right here. And there was, there's enough for a profitable scalp. And then I see 12 and I think that's probably going to go lower, but it's unlikely to get very far. There's probably buyers not that far below. So that makes buying the close right here reasonable. And then, I think I started recording a video somewhere around 14. So anyway, that's my day. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm not very proud of these trades. And this is why this is part of the reason why I haven't been making very many trade reviews, is because a lot of my trading has been going like this recently, where I might get some winners, or, I might actually trade very well for the first half hour of the day. But then I start to get emotional and I start to do stupid things. I start to make mistakes, and I don't want to share that with other people because I don't want you to be influenced by my dumb mistakes that I'm making, and think that scaling in 5 times with a bar like 6 is a good idea, because it is not. There is no world where a professional trader is going to scale in 5 times on bar 6. That just doesn't make sense. So, I don't really want to share trades like that. And then, I bought the close of 8. That's not that great of a trade either. I don't really want to share that. It worked out all right. The logic worked temporarily. But look what happened right afterwards. So is it really that good of a trade? Is it even worth sharing? No, it's not really worth sharing. And that's how quite a bit of my trading has been recently, if I'm being honest. So I'm pretty disappointed with a lot of my trading. And it's not necessarily the setups or the signal bars or the patterns or my chart reading skills or anything like that. The reason I'm disappointed the most is simply because my behavior isn't mapping to the knowledge that I have. And I think wisdom is where knowledge and experience meet. So I need to get the correct experience to be able to execute on the knowledge that I have. And that's the reason I wanted to make this video, because you probably know plenty of information about price action. You probably don't need to learn that much more, if anything more, than what you already know right now. And it's very likely that you just need to stop making mistakes or doing dumb things like me. And once you can figure out a system to stop making those mistakes and stop doing dumb things, then your trading will probably improve greatly, pretty quickly. And that's certainly been the case for me on the days where I feel very balanced. I feel very focused and energized and ready to go and grounded. I do very well, and I'm very proud of myself. And I think, wow, I've really got a shot at this. And then inevitably I'll get emotional and I'll get frustrated and I'll get impatient, or just I'll lose focus and then make a stupid mistake and then shoot the whole day in the foot. So, the most important thing for me right now is not necessarily price action. It's necessarily my mental and emotional health, to find systems to create enough balance and neutrality in myself so that I can practice doing the right thing with the knowledge that I have. So anyway, I just wanted to convey that message. Hopefully that's helpful for anybody else out there. And thanks for watching the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know where you're at, what kind of things you've been going through. And I will check out those comments and reply back to them. So hope you have a good rest of the day, and hope you have a good rest of the trading week. Take care. Bye.